Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today I am interviewing Peggy Robinson. She's a new licensee for Manners to Go, and I'm going to ask her a few questions so that you can get to know her. Good morning, Peggy.
Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
I'm well today, thank you. And yourself?
Doing very well also.
Good, good. Is it cold up there?
We had spring up here this weekend,
You know,
50s and 60s, almost 70, believe it or not. So
I
it
heard
was,
that.
it
Yeah.
was a breath of fresh air in this cold, and now it's back to the 20s today. So
Okay.
back
The
to
real
New England
welcome
weather.
back. Yeah. Well, let's ask you, we would like to ask some questions and to get to know you. And so tell us, how did you first come upon Manners to Go? How did you find us?
I found Manners to Go through an internet search.
Hmm.
I was looking for ways to bolster my business. I'd been working on it, and I was thrilled to find your program because it gave me access to uh, already established curriculums and lesson plans and business templates and proposals. But what I was really looking for is someone to so you are a wonderful resource for me because that was the piece I felt I was missing. I know from being an art teacher, there's a special niche, things that you learn from having done it. And so I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I just wanted someone I knew I could go to and have those burning questions answered. So I'm thrilled to be able to tap into your expertise in that area and to take my business vision and make it a reality. So I'm looking forward to that.
Right. Well, your students are lucky to have you, especially with your teaching background and, of course, art, which, as you know, is needed and something that we all love, and children certainly learn from. That is for
Yes,
sure.
they do.
You made a decision to move forward and act, and that's where a lot of people get caught up. They know want it, they have the passion to do it, but it's, we all do, and I experienced this as well, where you get into a procrastination stage.
Mm.
What helped you move forward and take that step and say, you know what, this is it, I'm going to make this decision and I'm going to go forward with it?
I'm a cautious person by nature.
Mhm.
So, but I had the seed for the business had planted, I would say, a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
I'd stumbled across an etiquette manners program while working on curriculum for art, and it just planted a seed. So from that point, it never left my mind, and it continued to grow. And ideas can get very heavy over time because they're so full.
Mhm.
And it was time to put it down and let it grow roots. And that's why I was searching on the internet for a program to help me do that, to give me and so I just felt tired of carrying it. And to be honest with you, when I made that decision, it was like a big burden had been lifted off my shoulders, that I felt, yes, it felt right to start beginning that process and to take those steps toward that end. Because I definitely have a great deal of respect for manners, and I believe it's a value to everyone out there. I've seen it through my own parenting, my own personal life, and through teaching, what a value it is and a benefit. So I figured, what am I waiting for? Let's just begin. So that's what made me really just decide to start.
I think focusing on our value, whatever we choose in life, it doesn't necessarily have to be manners or etiquette, I think is so important to realize that we as individuals have value, and how
Hmm.
important it is to share it in whatever way that we choose, how important it is to share it with the world. And like I said, how lucky are your students, your future students that you're going to be teaching very soon?
Thank you.
What excites you most about teaching manners to children or youth nowadays?
I believe it kind of, again, I'm going to fall back to what as my teaching experience. There was nothing more rewarding as seeing a child, the transformative effect of teaching a child a skill and having them master it. And through the art of mastering it, it transforms who they are. You see that self-confidence come out. You see them walk differently. They carry themselves differently. And then you know that it's a tool or a skill that they can continue to utilize the rest of their life if they choose. And so manners falls under that category for me of being a life skill that, and in some ways a gift, but you're teaching a child a skill that they will master, that they will benefit from and utilize the rest of their life. So that's why, I'm passionate about teaching it, is because that's what I noticed in teaching art to children.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that same, and through my own children, is seeing the benefits of teaching your own children manners and how it's benefited them as they've grown and gone out into that world, which can be very harsh at times. But if you know how to navigate it using manners, because you're always going to bump into someone you don't know. You're going to be in a room full of people you don't know, whether it's a new classroom or whether it's a business or college, anywhere, a sports team. You need to know how to introduce yourself, and to do so in a manner that is comfortable and at ease for yourself and for others.
Great. And what advice would you give your 21-year-old self?
Oh, I would not be afraid. Anything you're afraid of, get to know yourself. Kind of generate side of you that will possibly be the obstacle for you pursuing it. If you don't feel you have the courage to take that first step, then get someone in your corner that will support you and encourage you, that you can confide in and talk to, and let them be your cheerleader in the beginning. Because I think you will have regrets if you allow enough of these things to pile up that you don't pursue. You'll look back on it, because oftentimes in our minds we build up something more than it actually is. And when you go through the process of venturing out there and doing it, you realize it wasn't as big of a deal as you thought it was, that you begin to unearth your strengths. And that's what just a wonderful learning lesson to continue striving forward. And if you don't feel you have the courage, find someone who'll be in your corner that can help you, to motivate you and move you along.
That is absolutely great advice. I know a lot of companies, the ones that I've worked for, have put mentoring programs in place. And it's one of the best things I think a company can do. And also, as you're starting college, I think that's another great time to ask for a mentor, to see maybe it's somebody that's not even in your industry, or someone that's not related to you, that can put a fresh set of eyes on your goals and to help move you forward. So great advice. Now, this is a fun question, and I ask it for everyone. Of course, afternoon tea is one of our favorite things to do. It's always on my list of top favorite things to do. If you're hosting an afternoon tea, who's going to be on your guest list? And this person can be living or deceased. Who would you have at your table?
I would have a very long table, but to prioritize it, to make it more of a tea-like setting, I think I would go with my ancestors. I would want to know, especially those who immigrated to this country, what decisions did they make around their table as a family or as a couple to leave their country of origin that they knew and saved up money for, and literally took a boat across an ocean to a new country. Maybe there's a language barrier, they didn't understand the language, and to start a new life there. I think my sisters and I, several years ago, had taken a cruise to nowhere, but it left out of New York Harbor. So when we went by the Statue of Liberty, we reminisced with each other about what would that have been like for our ancestors to have, coming into the harbor, had seen the Statue of Liberty, and what was that like to them? What did that mean to them? So, they set the tone for my future here in this country and for my family and my children. So I just would like to have that conversation, because that took a lot of courage, I think, to come across and leave a place that you've always known as home and make home someplace else.
I love that. I've never had anyone answer this question like that. And that's a very special answer, especially now that we have websites that we can go to.
Yes.
23andMe or Ancestry.com. So many of us, and I, just as funny you bring this up, just recently searched my history and my ancestry, and found out my lineage and so forth. And so that's a really great answer and timely. And I would encourage anyone out there, if you don't know, it's wonderful news to get your background.
Yes, it is.
And
Yes,
it's
it
so
is.
easy nowadays, and it's very quick. You can have it within 2 to 3 weeks.
That's
So
right.
I absolutely love that answer. And I think so many times we kind of forget about that. But what a special feeling that must have been for you as you're pulling out of New York or coming back in,
Yes.
seeing the Statue
Yes.
of Liberty and so forth, and welcoming here to the U.S. Great
That's right.
answer. Why did you choose to start a business teaching manners? I know that you have a teaching background and, of course, an art teacher, but why did you choose manners?
Again, I've had many roles besides teacher. I was a swim coach. I worked in the after school programs, so I had access and interaction with a lot of children all the time. But one thing, and my colleagues and I would talk about this, especially veteran teachers who could see a decline in manners in the classroom with their peers and with the teachers, and authority figures. And it was very, as the year went on and we implement our own classroom management strategies and different things, and beyond the pleases and the thank yous, it was the idea of thinking of others first and not yourself. And so to me, that was what I had seen enough with my own children, and I grew up around the corner from my grandparents. So to have that constant presence in your life, with an expectation of using your manners, we were taught that, and they were wonderful role models, because in public there may be times where people were rude to you, and you got to see how your parents and grandparents handled these situations. And it was often with manners and being polite and walking away, and not, it also instilled the idea of self-control and not giving into your feelings and emotions at the time, but thinking before reacting. But it just is a skill that you want to teach others. And I noticed that as I had opportunities to interact with students, when you share these little gems with them and you teach them, again, manners, you see how they take it, and it's a ripple effect. You hear them teaching another student that out on the playground.
Yes.
Robinson taught me this. And so they see the benefits of it. And I think ultimately they feel wonderful that they've done something and they've made somebody else's day, because manners is all about valuing the other person, listening to them, being present, and being mannerly, and that encompasses respect. So to me, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to begin teaching, because I see a need, and I would like to, in my own little way, in my corner of the world, try and preserve manners, but also teach it, because I think what's old is now new again.
Yes, so true.
And kids just like to learn something new. If they haven't heard it before, they pick up on it and see it, especially if it's a benefit to them, they'll readily start to use it. And if you can show them how they can use it in their life, I've just found that as a teacher, they've really been open to those things.
Great. And it's wonderful. And the parents certainly appreciate it as well.
Yes.
They're busy, and many, so appreciate being taught in an after school program. They're 100% behind it.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it. Great answers. And do keep reading, and probably within the next few months, Peggy will have her website up, and we'll certainly keep you posted so that you can continue to take a look at her work. So thanks again, Peggy. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, Lisa. Have a good day.
Okay, you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.